We live in Claremont. We're deeply affected by all this. But I think me and Shay were some of the first people that started to talk about this in honour. The smell has been woeful, but it makes you think there's a larger, sort of more clandestine aspect going on here. We're talking about Regen aren't here to talk to us or to even listen to us about what's going on. But I can tell you, because I worked in the education system for a while, Regen are on the offensive. And this might sound like hyperbole or whatever you might want to call it, but it's not. I can guarantee you that if you have a child in a secondary grammar school in Newry, they're being lured and called by companies like Regen and MGM up in Carnbean and stuff like that and Wynn Industrial Estates. Good job, sure, robotics, all that kind of stuff. But they're coming into your schools and they're educating your children one day a year. So if you want to say something to Regen, pull your kids out of school the day that Regen invites them up to show them how wonderful the world is up there. I'd also just like to say about how I feel about all this, with so much thought going into it every day, waking up to a stink. I've thought about it over and over, and I've thought about, I don't know, you might call me a hippie if you want, that's fine. But how do you make money? You get a grant from the government, you buy a load of vans, you travel the country, and I'm talking the country, not just Newry and Moore, not Banbridge District, not Banbridge or Belfast Council. There's lorries coming up here from Galway, from Cork, full of rubbish. And it's not just rubbish, it's the 1% of stuff that's left over. Now, there used to be a term for that when I was coming up, and forgive my vulgarity, but it's shite. Absolute shite. That's what's coming up here. They're getting free shite, and they're selling it to Norway. And while they're waiting to get their cheque from Norway, your health, your life suffers. So I would just like to say, look at these people as vampires. They are. They're literally feeding off. They're getting free money for absolutely nothing. And they're making your children think that that's where they want to be when they grow up. And it's not.
We get many, many messages to Rare from people living in Warrenpoint. If they believed their councillors would do something about it, they wouldn't be writing to us. I want to just read this one. It's from Mark Lynch. If you look over across the street when you go out there at the Warrenpoint Harbour Authority office, you'll see a big Santa Claus waving at you. I looked in behind it one time. There's like a big wheel turning that waving hand that symbolises so much about goodwill and neighbourliness and kindness. This man is writing about coming into Warrenpoint with his son to see Santa, the one who moves around. We took our son up the town this evening, but first went for a walk around the shore and made our way up from the Whistledown. Very quickly, we could smell the stench in the air before we got beyond Queen Street. As we approached the square, the stench became pungent. Once in the square, it was vile. We stayed for a while as Santa was en route, but the smell was just disgusting and overwhelming. It's probably our last year with Santa in the house, but even our son was complaining and wasn't for hanging around to wait for the big man. We were simply unable to enjoy the event and had to leave. What must outsiders waiting for the occasion have thought? The harbour, by processing, handling garbage on our doorstep, which has been generated from much further afield, are nothing short of contemptuous towards the community. I would agree with that, actually. It's not just lack of respect, it's contempt. Contemptuous towards the community of Warrenpoint for the sake of making a pound. I think 5 million profit declared last year, as far as I know. They are clearly and blatantly prioritising profit whilst simultaneously championing themselves as community advocates. How is this allowed? We live in the Springfield Road, which is a fair distance from the docks, yet still we get the stench, and last night just infuriated us to the point where I have to say something, as I very rarely post anything, but it was simply vile and disgusting. Those in authority need brought to account and stop this now.
On the point of the 3 councillors, my only thought on that is that I don't think that the fact that they are representing the council and not the political parties is a get-out. It's not a get-out. Nobody's telling them not to speak. Maybe they are telling them not to speak. Maybe that's because they're being paid. I don't know. How would I know? But they don't seem to say a word, and they miss a lot of meetings. So I don't see why they aren't even represent. Why can't the council represent the people, even if they are not representing their own political party? So there's no loss then to the political party if they're representing the council, and the council must have an opinion.
Great. I also just want to make sure that we're not forgetting the noise that's happening after hours. I personally am wakened throughout the night and then awake for about 2-3 hours with the noise, steel and hammering. So I just want us to not forget the noise that's happening. And any time I've emailed the port and asked about their licensing hours, it will take about 9 days for a reply, and then it's just not even mentioned. But yes, the noise is as important for me as the smell, being a resident at Claremont. Thank you.
Yes. I'm just here tonight to represent my mum because she's not here, and I've got a young kid, and I'm just looking around the room and there's not a lot of people my age or younger people, and I think all of you have got sons or daughters, and I think younger people need to represent ultimately what's going to happen in our town. I think if we're being lied about one thing, then we ultimately can be lied about other things, and I think it's really important because ultimately we're stakeholders. So I think if all of you can encourage your sons, your daughters, we're a younger generation. We also have social media, which means we can get a far bigger reach on what this topic is. And I just wanted to highlight that tonight.
Dara, we don't know what they're spraying.
Would you mind standing up and letting people see us? It's just nice if people can see you.
We don't know what they're spraying. Is it a neonicotinoid? There's only 7 types that aren't banned in Europe. Most countries in the world, neonicotinoids are banned. They're coming into our place of work on a Monday morning and a Friday evening, and they're putting down white and red boards. They're painting them with stuff. We don't know what they're painting them with. The flies are unbelievable. Now, we've had a break now. This past 2 weeks it's starting to break because the weather's breaking. It's still there. But the fact is, coming into spring and into summer next year, it's going to be horrendous. Anybody who has time should sign up to Jim's idea, and we should move it forward. That's all I want to say.
Drive up the Bridle and take a look at it. And the best place to see it is from Carrick-Ree. And there's a fence there, fairly sturdy fence. You can look down and you can see the mass of the stuff. And Joanne, is it? Yeah, see you there. And yes, you should be able to see it from your row there. Yeah. And the steam is drifting towards the town. So any wonder you're getting the smell. But do go up and take a look. Another route is to go down into County Louth. As you pass Cornamuckla House, you can turn in. There's a couple of these side roads, and you get a direct view of it. And it's a massive amount of stuff. It really is. And can I just commend the lady who backed me up there on the noise issue, because I'm glad to hear somebody else. It's not an imagined thing. People are suffering. Sleep deprivation, I would call that. Colin, thank you.
Folks, just on the thing about politicians being here tonight, you have to applaud them for being here, because emails were sent out again to all the people to be here, the SDLP, the DUP, and they never even reply. Never mind come. They don't even reply to you with a follow-up email, or can't make it, or I can't come, or a few people have actually said they couldn't make tonight, and that's at least they reached out and give an email. But fair play to the people who are here tonight, and I actually will applaud people for the politicians being here tonight, and I think we really should really tag all along together. We're actually going to do something, and that's big for me to say, I'll tell you that now, but we all have to act together here. And I just, from the early doors of this, when we were near enough begging for people or for politicians to come, they're here now, so let's use them. And if they don't do the work, well, you know the crack yourselves, it's inevitable, we're not going to do anything, are we?